Welcome back, everybody. I have a big announcement. For those watching on YouTube that have been following me for a while, it's time. I've officially made the switch to becoming a podcaster. Now, I will still be live streaming on Sundays, but this is mainly because the school has been so hectic. I don't have enough time to graphically design best captains, best transfer targets, all of that. So in order to keep putting out content, I'm going to transfer over to podcasts. So here we are, my first official podcast. And for those who are listening on Spotify or Apple, whatever it is, you're thinking dub. Anyway, here we are. I've moved on to the podcast world. And the first thing we need to do, other than doing it today, is find myself a guest. I need to get a good first guest for my second official podcast. But let's jump into this. Sean the Don, a.k.a. the FPL Don, first official podcast. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my team selection from last week, or how I did. So I ended up with 54 points. That's nothing really to brag about. I got a red arrow. I'm down to 400K or something like that. But for me, the biggest thing which happened with a lot of people is, I'll put my screen up for those on YouTube. I had a lot of one-pointers, a lot of cameos. Reece James got 1 point, came in like the 88th minute. Antonio only got me 1 point with another yellow card, which is frustrating. And Jimenez came in like the 90th minute. So those three got me 3 points combined. And on my bench, I had Douglas Luiz, who got a 3-piece, and Livramento, who got a 6-piece. So essentially, with Jimenez and Reece James being subbed on in the last minute, you can say it cost me about 7 points, but I'm not bitter about it. I'm kind of bitter about it. I'm really bitter about it. I could have been in like the 330K, but whatever, we move on. So honestly, looking at my squad this week, it was really saved by Mo Salah. I mean, I had Sanchez in goal, who got 6 points, and I just really want to talk about that goal, or that attempted goal, if you will, by Sargent. He had a wide open goal, and as a man who owns Sanchez, or has Sanchez selected in his squad, having him miss that wide open goal was great because it kept me the 6 points. As an American, gotta be better. Anyway, my defense came big with Sanchez, Cancelo, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, but really it was all held together by quite possibly right now the best player in the world in Mo Salah. I don't want to go ahead and put an argument to say that he is or he isn't. I'll just say that he is one of, if not the best player currently in the world. And through 8 game weeks, he has 1 week he has not returned. 1 week. He scored a goal in 6 straight games with a goal. One of those was against Man City. This dude is on fire. I mean, I captained him. It was the easiest decision I made all year, other than bringing him into my squad. And he came away with 26 points with the captaincy chip on him. So no big. So honestly, my game week 8 was, considering I had 4 people gave me 1 point with White combined, not the worst thing. Here's a little bit of nugget for you. I think Antonio, Jimenez, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lukaku, and Saka combined either or about the same amount of points as Livramento got, my 4 million pound defender. Anyway, so looking at my squad, I'm gonna keep this first. My first pod is gonna be nice and short because I still got to figure out how to get this done. All right, so my game week 9 transfer, it's gonna be the same thing a lot of people are looking at. What am I gonna do with Cristiano Ronaldo? Now, it's hard because I was expecting Christie to have a better season so far with United. I think game week 4 he had 13 points, and I believe from game week 5 to game week 8 he's had about 11 points combined, something like that. So a bit disappointing. And you look at his next few weeks. He has, let me pull it up real quick. Next few weeks he has Liverpool this week. He has Tottenham the week after, and then City the week after that. So 3 top 6 squads. Something that surprised me, honestly, was Tottenham are 5th right now on the table. That shocks me, but credit to them, credit to Harry Kane for stepping up. But I don't want Cristiano Ronaldo through that stretch. If we even kind of make that longer, he has Watford in 12, and then Chelsea in 13. And so I don't want Christie through that when he has 4 of the top 6 teams in the Prem in the next 5 game weeks. So what am I going to do with Cristiano Ronaldo? It's a question a lot of people are doing. I believe he is the highest transferred out player right now in FPL. I could check that in a minute, but I believe he's one of the highest, if not one of the highest, transferred out players. What are we going to do with CR7? Now, there's an obvious one that everyone was thinking about doing for a long time is Lukaku. Now Lukaku's form is not good. He's had one shot on target since game week 5. One shot on target since game week 5, and that was against Tottenham, if I'm not mistaken. But he hit post 2 weeks ago that he should have scored from. He's still averaging about 0.52 non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 over the last 4 game weeks. So even though his shots aren't there, he's still finding a way to get involved. But it still scares me. But then we look at the reason why we wanted to bring him in during this run was he has Norwich this week at home, Newcastle the week after, and then Burnley. So 3 really good run of fixtures for Lukaku there. So is he the play? But of course the thought here is, well, Lukaku was the play, but he's just not on form at all. So I want to go somewhere else. And I get that. Honestly, I'm thinking about doing the same, but I'm probably going to stick with Lukaku in the end and captain him. Call me crazy. But here's the thing. A lot of people are saying they want to go Kane. Now, I'll give my argument for Kane here in a second. But I even have right here, I'll see if I can put it up on the screen for those on YouTube. I compared the 4 transfer targets, including Christie, but the 3 transfer targets to bring in for Christie. Now, with Harry Kane, a lot of people are saying, well, now he's on form, now I want to bring him in. But let's not forget that the weeks before that, he was struggling big time. Nobody really had him in their squad. Let me pull him up real quick. Harry Kane had not had one attacking return all season. Not one. And then in game week 8, he plays Newcastle, gets a goal, gets an assist, and gets 3 bonus points. Now, he is showing good form. Now, my argument for Harry Kane is he was playing at Euros, and it was a devastating loss in the Euros. Then he thinks he's going to City to challenge for Premier League, to challenge for Champions League. And then that gets shut down. And so essentially he had 2 huge events that he thought he was going to be on the top of the world. And then he has to go back to a team that he didn't want to be at. Now, I'm not disgracing Tottenham, but that doesn't seem that he wanted to be there. He wanted to go to City, right? So now he had to accept that reality. Now he's come back into it. But now he's at the point now where he's all in. He's got to get Tottenham to top 4 to Champions League in case he does stay for another one. Because, I mean, this is a place he's been for a long time. Now, with Harry Kane as well, I think even if he did want to leave, he still has to go and show that he is the Harry Kane that we've known for the past, 7 years in the Prem, whatever it is. That he is one of the best players, if not the best player in the Prem. If I was him, I would think he was the best. I was the best. But because if he doesn't have a good season, he doesn't get 10 goals a season, doesn't have anywhere near the same type season he has, then maybe his price goes down. Maybe City doesn't want him anymore. Maybe the Bayern Munich don't want him anymore. Maybe he's not the Harry Kane that we've known for a long time. So if I was him, he's got to ball out this season if he wants to go and move on to a bigger club or a club to contend for Champions League. And if he wants to stay, then he wants Tottenham to contend for Champions League. So he's got to ball out. So that's my arguments for Harry Kane to bring him in. My arguments against him is he has West Ham coming up, United, and Everton. West Ham are really good. We've known that for about a year and a half now. They're a solid squad. He's got United after that and Everton. So not the best 3 run of fixtures. And again, for those who are saying I wanted Lukaku, but now I want Harry Kane, let's not forget that Harry Kane was doing the same exact thing that Lukaku has been these past few game weeks. The difference is he played Newcastle and he was able to catch form again. So is that gonna happen with Lukaku? Are fixtures gonna bring about form for him? Is playing Norwich at home gonna bring the Lukaku that we know? Is Newcastle the next week after that gonna bring out the Lukaku that we all are hoping to see? So that's the question. Are form gonna bring fixtures for him? And then of course we have the I wouldn't even say legendary, the lesser legend in Jamie Vardy. Now, for non-penalty expected goal involvement this season, we have Christie and Lukaku that are about the same at 0.76 and 0.74 respectively, and Jamie Vardy right behind that. And Jamie Vardy, as we know, he is on pens, yeah, but he is very clinical. He finds a way to score, period. Shots on target, it goes Christie at 1.8, Jamie Vardy at 1.4, then Lukaku at 0.73. And then we look at Jamie Vardy's next run of fixtures. He has Brentford this week, who, according to the FDR on FPL site, they have Brentford at a 2, but I think Brentford's better than that. I like Brentford's game. I think they're a solid squad. I'm not saying they're the toughest squad in the world to play on. I'm not saying Jamie Vardy can't score against that. I just don't think they're the easiest game in the world. Then he has Arsenal after that, Leeds, and that Leeds game, he should be able to get a lot of points there. Chelsea's tough, obviously. Then he has Watford, Southampton, and Villa. So over the next, 7 game weeks, I think Jamie Vardy can go on for a run. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I was wrong on Jamie Vardy. I thought going into the season, they would rest him and kind of play him in bigger games and maybe in the Champions League. Because we saw the last couple seasons, Leicester would start out hot, and then they would kind of cool down as the season progressed. So I was thinking maybe they do with Jamie Vardy, now that he's getting older, they would kind of let Ian Nacho come in and play striker at times. And I'll tip my hat, I was wrong. Jamie Vardy is the leading goal scorer. I think he's joint leading goal scorer with Mo Salah in the Prem. And he has a good run of fixtures here, so I think Jamie Vardy could be a good target, if I'm being completely honest. I'm still probably going to lean towards Lukaku, but Jamie Vardy does look nice, especially if you want to save, about 1.5 mil, somewhere around there. I think it's nice. And honestly, if I had to, and I want to save money and I want to bring in Son, or if I want to bring in, I don't have Mo Salah already, I might bring in either Jimenez, who has Leeds this week, Everton, and then Crystal Palace after that, or I might even bring in Tony. Tony for Brentford has Leicester this week, which is a tough game. But then he has Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle. Tony could be a really good option there. So if I wanted to save money, I think I might drop down to Tony at 6.5 or whatever he is right now. Jimenez, or I just stay in the same price bracket. And in my order, I would go Lukaku, I'd go Vardy, and then I'd go Harry Kane. Now, that being said, when I wildcarded in Game Week 12, Harry Kane's probably in my squad. It's just because of the fixtures. I'm a fixture man. And a man who loves Doja Cat. Anderson .Paak is awesome too. Anyway, all right. So moving on. So that's my best Ronaldo replacements. Just again, I'm a fixture guy. Just looking at the fixtures, I think that they have those 3 players are the best to bring in. Now, if Bamford was healthy, I'd probably say you could bring in Bamford. He has a great run of fixtures for till game week at least 15. And so I think for me, Bamford could be there, but he's hurt. If we do hear more about Bamford, yeah, he's a great option. All right. Best captain. Who's my best captain this week? I know a lot of people, including myself, probably should say Mo Salah because he scored in 6 straight game weeks. But he does play against United. Now, I know that the argument here is, well, he might play against United this week, but he played against City, the best defense in the Prem, who only had like 3 shots on target through 5 game weeks. And then Salah jumps in and gets double digits against them. And scores a worldly, by the way. So yeah, Mo Salah can definitely score against United. I'm not doubting that at all. I just think that for me, the best captaincy option this week is probably still Lukaku. I know it sounds crazy because he's had 1 shot on target over the last 4 or 5 game weeks. But I just think it's against Norwich. I just think Lukaku. Oh, and it's an early. Oh, I guess we doubted or we threw the early morning kickoff in the mud last week with Mo Salah. But yeah, I think Lukaku against Norwich is a great option. I still think he's probably my number 1. Shout out Jamie Foxx. Number 1 girl. That's how it goes. Yeah, I think if I was to, outside of that, I mean, if you can nail like Kevin De Bruyne, like a City asset, that'd be great against Brighton. I mean, Brighton do have a really good defense. I think they're still top 4, but KDB could be a good option, but not many people have him. I even think that someone, if Reece James could play, we all know that Norwich's left side is a bit weak. If we can get Reece James to get going, or if he starts for sure, I think he could be a decent captaincy option there. Maybe gets an assist to Lukaku. If that happens, bookmark this and throw it on my Twitter. Make me look way more smarter than I am. Other than that, Jamie Vardy against Brentford could be nice. Again, I know I said that Brentford aren't the easiest side, but Jamie Vardy looks good. And then, of course, even maybe Son against West Ham. But for me, I think I'd go Lukaku 1, Mo Salah 2, and then just a shot in the dark, Reece James at 3. Those are probably the options I'm going to do. Yeah, those are my best captaincy options. Again, playing fixtures here. Now, as far as best teams to target, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit on the pod because I feel it's important to target teams and fixtures. Take a shot for every time I say fixtures today. This is my first podcast. Let me figure it out. So, best teams to target. I think Brentford, just going down the list here alphabetically, Brentford's a team to target. You have Mbeumo and you have Tony. I think those are the two solid options. And in fact, if I'm having an eye on players this weekend, those two are at my top. They have a tough game against Leicester, yes. But after that, Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle. So Mbeumo at 5.5, 5.6, wherever it is. Tony at 6.5-ish. And maybe even Henry. Rico Henry is a great player, great defender. And Brentford have shown that they can defend pretty well. So for me, Brentford's a team to target. Obviously, Chelsea are a team to target with Lukaku. But the question is, other than Rudiger, other than defenders, I should say, and Lukaku, who am I going to get? So it's hard. Mason Mount seems to be a great option last couple of years. But this year, he's not the same Mason Mount as we've seen, at least as far as FPL goes. So is Mason Mount going to also have the same thing as Lukaku and fixtures are going to bring about form? Or is Mason Mount going to kind of stay a bit stagnant right now and maybe catch heat later on in the season? I don't think Havertz is the play. Don't know if I would get him. To me, it's Lukaku or defense for Chelsea. I don't really know if there's a midfielder I necessarily want. I don't know if I would, even though Burnley do have good fixtures, running through it again here. Even though Burnley do have good fixtures, I wouldn't necessarily bring them into my squad. Let's see. Leeds, I talked about Leeds earlier. I would definitely target some Leeds assets. The problem is who? I picked Firpo at the beginning of the season to be my dark horse to have a really good season. Hasn't shown it so far. So for Leeds, I still think Rafinha is obviously the number one guy. I'm really hoping Harrison can get going at 5 point. I think he's 7. He's dropped so much now. Harrison could be a great option if he gets going, but I'm not going to go anywhere near him until he starts showing me some promise. Rafinha the number one. Bamford if he comes back. Rodrigo's putting up good stats. Just not able to do anything with it. So even though Leeds have phenomenal fixtures for the next 7, other than Rafinha, I don't know who I'd want. Keep an eye on that this weekend. Next week we'll talk, and maybe I reassess going into that Norwich match. Leicester I would definitely look at. For me, it's Jamie Vardy though. I think that's pretty much it. Lookman is somebody I've had an eye on for weeks, but he just hasn't seemed to nail on that starting role yet or really get going. I think Iheanacho, obviously we saw what he could do last year. Iheanacho would be great, but again, it's the starting aspect. Are you going to be willing to take that risk? I'm probably not. So for me, Leicester, the only person I necessarily want is Jamie Vardy. Then other teams I want to target right now. I was gonna say as I squeak. I was gonna say Norwich, but if I'm looking at because I look at their fixtures and they have Leeds, Brentford, Southampton, Wolverhampton, Newcastle. So looking at that, I really would like some Norwich, but I don't know if I'd want any Norwich players. Now that being said, Norwich have had more clean sheets this season than United have. Take that for what you want. Southampton, if Armstrong started last week, maybe I might go with him, but yeah, for me you could go Wolverhampton, but for me the top teams I would target would be Brentford, Chelsea, Brentford, and Leeds over these next few. Those are the teams I would target looking at their fixtures. If they're going to form, of course, Liverpool with Salah, Trent, even Van Dijk. Let me look that up real quick. If I look at some Liverpool assets, this is something I've always wondered, or I never had the guts to do. Can I save $1 million and go with Van Dijk instead of Trent? I've never had the guts to do that, but I've always wondered, could I do it? Because I remember looking up last season, in 18-19, I think that was Trent's breakout season. Van Dijk had 208. Trent, again, this is breakout season, to take it for what it's worth, 185. Scored more. The next season, Trent comes out, goes wild, throws up 210. Van Dijk threw up 178. So 32 points difference. That's less than a point a week between the two. Of course, then last season, Van Dijk got hurt. So the question is it worth it to save $1 million and get 1 point less per week and throw my cash somewhere else and go with Van Dijk instead of Trent? Because there's always a few goals that Van Dijk gets every year, and he comes away with 3 bonus points and like 18 points or whatever it is. But I just don't have the guts. I'm going to go with Trent. All right. So for players I would like to target this week, for me, Lookman and Iheanacho, I think I talked about them a little bit earlier, but if they could get nailed on to that starting 11 for Leicester, I think they could be great. I mean, Lookman puts up about, I think, 0.5 non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90, something like that. Fact check me on that one and get back to me on that. But he's looked good so far at Leicester. It's just Can he get settled into the squad's starting 11 first off, and then kind of get settled in with chemistry-wise with the squad? And of course, Ian Nacho, we saw how great he was last season. Can he essentially get more playing time and get a consistent starting job with Leicester, especially with Brentford and Leeds coming up? Then I got the Brentford players I talked about already with Mbeumo, Tony, and Rico Henry. They've got to be at the top of the list, man. I squeaked again. That's twice this pod. Every time you hear me squeak, drink. And you'll be loaded by the time this is over. After this week, Brentford have Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle over their next 3. Tony could be a great shout. I think Mbeumo and Rico Henry, over that run of fixtures, if any of them look good this weekend, I might throw them in my squad to come game week 10. I think the last person, I don't know how to say his name, but the last person that I think could be great is Elise from Crystal Palace. I don't know if I said his name right, but Elise could be a great differential. I think he's like 0.0% selected right now. But Crystal Palace is another team I should have mentioned about targeting earlier. I have Gallagher in my squad right now. And they have Newcastle this week, City in 10. And I'm going to go on a limb and say they're not going to do well against City. Weird, right? I know it's a brave, hot takes here on the channel. And then I got Wolverhampton and Burnley, Aston Villa and Leeds over those next ones. Crystal Palace look like a better squad now with Vieira there. And with a lot of young talent there with Elise, with Gallagher, with Zaha obviously being the Zaha we've known for the past few years being great. And Eze, I think, comes back from what I'm hearing, he might be back in game week 11. That's a very dynamic young crew for Crystal Palace with a good run of fixtures. So those are players I'm looking at right now. I don't know. Who are you guys looking at? So there you go. That's what my squad looks like right now. For those who are listening on Spotify or whatever it is, Sanchez, Trent, Cancelo, Reece James, my back line. Sarr, Salah, Gallagher, Rafinha, my middies. And then up top, hopefully they'll score more than 4 points this week. I'll have Jimenez, Antonio, and probably switching Christie to Lukaku. Those are my moves. And that was my first official podcast. Well, I think I've done a podcast with Blues FPL. Check out Blues FPL. With Adam FPL, check out Adam FPL. But this is my first official one as switching more to a podcast type vibe. I don't know how to do it still. I'm still learning. Bear with me. Be patient. Be patient with me. Shout out Cardi B one time. And let me know what I need to work on. I think the biggest thing I want to do is Dylan, if you're watching these are homies that got me into FPL. Please jump on the pod, man. Dion, please jump on the pod with me. We've been talking about doing a pod together for a couple of years now. He's a guy who got me into FPL, and I think it would be great. But anyway, let me know what guests I should have. Appreciate everyone for listening to this if you made it here this far. If for those who are watching on YouTube, I will still be live streaming on Sundays. This is mainly a route for me to still put out content and still and not lose a ton of time to schooling, with graphic designing and everything like that. So I can still put out content with podcasts. I just don't need to put as much time into it. Thanks everyone for listening, for watching. Any suggestions on what I should do for the next pod? Any topics y'all want me to talk about? Throw them on my Twitter. And I appreciate y'all. Take some time every day to make someone laugh or even smile. And overall, the most important thing, learn CPR, learn CPR, learn CPR. Everyone take care. Don out.